Because the more we sweat in times of peace, the less we bleed in times of war. The more we prepare for things today, the better prepared we'll be for tomorrow.
So Kam, welcome to Being a Vision.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Not at all. I've been very excited for this interview. And let's dive straight into it. What is your story? What brought you here today?
So I don't really know exactly why I'm here today, but what I do know is the part about my story. What got me here was the fact that I went down the path that a lot of us go down, or we try to go down the path our parents tell us to go down in terms of, working hard to get a good education. I was fortunate enough to go to Cambridge University, where I studied engineering, got my master's in that, went and got a job in the city as a management consultant, good paycheck, prestigious job, and then it just all deviated. And I decided to actually take a risk and pursue something that was very, very close to my heart. And I became a coach, and as part of that, I'm also a speaker and an author now. So that path that I was originally on has just led to a completely different place now. And perhaps that's why I'm here, to talk about options.
Well, before we jump into the book that we were discussing before the interview, and a massive congratulations on that, one thing that I want to touch upon in your journey thus far is that moment, that pivotal moment, whereby you're a successful grad, you've got the dream job per se, and you decide to leave. Talk us through that.
The pivotal moment happened on an Uber ride home at 4 a.m. after a week on this very intense project, where I realized that I'd actually never worked that hard in my life. And I was so proud. I was so proud of myself in that very, very lucid, tired state. And this feeling came over me of, imagine if I took all that time and dedicated it to something I actually cared about. How could I not succeed? And that was the way my mind framed it. How could I not succeed? And I'd had this idea for starting up something to do with coaching or mentoring or using the fact that I enjoy speaking to audiences in some constructive way, but I'd never acted on it because I was afraid. But this confidence I got from being able to go into that consulting environment, to excel there, also to realize that that wasn't allowing me to have the impact I wanted to have in some way, where there was something I already knew I could be doing that had that impact, coupled with the realization that with the time I have and the abilities that I possess, I can really make an impact now. That became the pivotal moment. And every day after that, where I stayed in consulting, because I didn't leave after this realization, I stayed there, it got to a point where I'd wake up in the morning and look in the mirror for the next few months, and I'd just see a coward. I'd see someone who knew what they were meant to be doing, but I was just too afraid to leave because I had all these images of what success was like, of the prestige of the job. And eventually it just got to a point where I said, I want to see my reflection smile. I want to see myself be proud of who I'm becoming. If my younger self could see me now, would he be proud? And that was such a big part in me saying, you know what? It's time to plan it out. And I spent 1 month while I was still working planning out what I was going to do, what I was going to build, getting in touch with the right people. And I handed in my notice.
Amazing. What a really, really inspiring story. And no doubt very inspiring and relevant to your clients. And it's that I'd like to touch upon. Who are your clients? What are you offering them? How do you differ as a coach?
So my clients, at the beginning, I wanted to help everyone, as I think a lot of people who go into this field want to do. But I soon realized that the way that the people who respond best to me are those who have been through similar experiences that I have. And those who, perhaps I like to think, they're always trying to get the best out of themselves while dealing with the worst parts of themselves, their own insecurities that are holding them back. And that was a big thing in me thinking, who can I work with best? So what I kind of came up with in the end was my ideal clients are high potential clients. People who want to get the best out of themselves, who are driven to excel in whatever they're doing. And their range at the moment is their students. So I'm really, really focused on stuff in the academic system at the moment, helping students with regards to mindset, with regards to stress management, with regards to study planning tools, and so on. And also young professionals. So those who've just come out of university and who are in their graduate jobs and they're starting to feel perhaps a bit of imposter syndrome, or they're starting to feel like this is not what they signed up for. Is this what life is really like? And helping them get clarity about that, help them identify their values, and see how what they're doing fits into their vision for themselves in the future.
So do you believe that the current education system and or societal convention is geared up to create a mindset that you're offering? Or is that indeed the opportunity that you're grasping?
I guess that's the opportunity I'm grasping. So I am incredibly frustrated with the academic system. And this is no hatred towards the teachers or anything, but I think in our education, something is severely lacking, which is we don't teach these skills. We don't teach mindset. We don't teach time management. We don't teach these functional skills that allow us to become the best version of ourselves. We can solve quadratic equations, but we can't solve anxiety issues. You know, we learn how to manage erosion on a cliff face, but we can't manage our own emotional states. And so it was incredibly frustrating for me that these things that are so valuable and so integral, not just to our academic success, but to our success as people eventually, being good people, being able to help others, contribute to our society in a positive way, these things are not being taught. So I've kind of made it on my mission to go into schools and go into universities and teach these things that aren't being taught just yet. So
it is that key word that you mentioned at the end there, mission, that inevitably gets you out of bed every day, allowed you to leave management consulting, and of course, allow you to continue achieving the successes that you do so. But a big part of coaching is discipline. Mm-hmm. How does the alignment of your mission and your discipline allow you to progress? And what would you share with others who are also in a similar situation that you were a few years ago?
The best way I can think of describing that sense of discipline and the patience that it requires, to whether it's from anything from studying for exams, or going for some kind of sporting accomplishment, or starting your own business, it's about trusting the process. It's about the fact that you are not going to see results overnight. There is no such thing as an overnight success, and you are going to have to be willing to get gritty. You're going to need to sit there when times get tough. Trust in your vision. Use that to realign you. To sleep on things when your mood gets bad and when you get fatigued. To have the discipline to stop and to rest when you need to as well. But then have the discipline to start again. And I kind of look at that discipline as a form of self-love. You know, the reason I put energy into my long-term goals and my visions, because those things give me a purpose. And that allows me to push through the challenges that you might find on a day-to-day basis when you're chasing after something and you want it so much, but you're just not quite there yet. And that inspires me to keep going when things get tough. And I said, I think it takes discipline to start something. I think it takes discipline to keep doing something. But I also think it takes discipline to change something. If something isn't working, we can't be afraid to change it. If you don't like your job, perhaps it's not about quitting your job. It's about the discipline to stay in there while around that, building on your vision. And then when you're ready to have the discipline to leave that, it's not quitting. It's about having the discipline to move.
Very, very wise words. And you touched upon a topic of time and overnight success, or the perceived overnight success. So I'd like to take the discussion in the direction of patience, which I think is a very, very, very powerful virtue that is often overlooked.
Yeah.
Without forming any bias, talk us through how you deal with patience, how your clients deal with patience, and the importance of discipline and patience as well.
Patience is something I've struggled with throughout my entire life. So I'm a huge work in progress in all areas of life, but especially with patience. Because when you've been results driven for a lot of your life, you really, really want the things that you're doing to pay off. In fact, you kind of have these expectations that if you put in the work, things are going to pay off in some way. And to me, patience all comes down to realizing that me doing what I'm doing now is adding value to my life and my future, even if I don't get that result that I really want at the end of it. that there are lessons to be learned just from doing this experience, from learning how to be consistent with my habits. And trusting in the fact that it has value now helps me to keep that patience, to keep that discipline. And it's something that I talk about with all my clients. Because the whole point of coaching, it isn't for me to tell them or to give them advice. It's for us to have a dialogue. It's for me to ask them questions that allow them to uncover for themselves what they want to do. So it's not about me preaching about patience and discipline. It's about them realizing for themselves that patience and discipline are beautiful things, and they get value out of them in all aspects of their life just by applying it on a day-to-day basis. And it's not about the end result. It's not about expectations of getting a certain outcome and having your success or your happiness conditional on achieving that outcome. It's really about that journey day to day and seeing the value in what you're doing and realizing that patience and discipline are transferable skills. That when we build that muscle every single day, it can be moved. It can be translated to everything that we do.
So you touched upon consistency. Consistency in moving forward, in progressing your own business, of course, but of course the mindset of your clients and the journey that they're going on. To what degree does consistency pay off in a very, very noisy environment that is coaching when it comes to marketing? And what techniques do you have to differentiate yourself, to acquire clients, and of course, importantly, retain clients?
Retention actually isn't that hard. Retention is to do with doing a good job. And for me, that comes down to one question: how can I best serve you? If I'm honoring that, then clients will be retained. But I'd ultimately say that coaching isn't about retaining clients. You want them to get to a point where they're self-sufficient. You know, if you're helping them realize they have the wings to fly, you want to see them go free. It's not about keeping a client on for the rest of their life in the slightest. If someone feels they get value from continuing to work with me, it's a beautiful thing. But I genuinely want them to be done with coaching as quick as possible for them to feel like they can really fly. And in terms of the consistency side and the marketing side, for me, social media is a huge way for me to connect with my market, especially with students who, I don't even want to call it my market. These are the people that I feel I have the most I can potentially give to. And through things like Instagram, for the last year, every single day without fail, I've posted one thing. That's not a huge thing. I think a lot of people do that. But the point is I write these long captions which explain the quotes that I post, deconstructing cheesy cliche quotes. Or I put up a 60-second video which every other day I record myself. That's 60 seconds, or maybe if I do more than one, take a bit more. Now, for me, it doesn't matter how many people are watching this. It doesn't matter if it's having an impact on every single person. It doesn't matter to me if some people don't like it. If one person gets value from it, I've done my job. It's added worth. And for me, it's about that muscle of consistency. I genuinely look at it as a muscle. All of these things, courage, consistency. We go to the gym to train our muscles, right? But we don't train our mindset muscles. We don't train the muscles of the mind. And for me, consistency, discipline, these things are all muscles, and we train them by doing the reps every single day. And it's not about rest. Rest is a beautiful thing in the concept of these mindset tools. It's about small movements every day. Something I work with all my clients is recognizing their quick wins, which are the tiny incremental steps they've taken on a day-to-day basis to move closer to becoming who they want to be, to achieving their goals. It's not about putting it out of proportion and thinking that's the biggest thing in the world that they, post an Instagram post to help someone today, or that they meditated today. It might not be the biggest thing in the world, but the point is that them practicing that consistency in line with who they want to become is in itself, it's self-fulfilling. It builds momentum for them to do the same thing again. And acknowledging that through writing down their quick wins, as I myself try and do every single day without fail, is a way of telling your mind to focus on what you're doing well, not just on what we do badly, which so often is the case for us.
That consistency and the nature of practice, what I preach, is clear, particularly on the Instagram feed, particularly with the number of clients and the growth that you and your business have experienced. Where's the future of the business? Where are you taking it over the next 6 to 12, even further months away?
So for me, I love speaking and I love delivering workshops. I've already been delivering workshops at schools on I mean, based around what the concepts of my book, right? So in terms of the time management skills, in terms of mindset management skills, in terms of specifically Oxford preparation courses and things like that. But for me, the other thing I've been doing is I've gone into companies and I deliver workshops to their apprentices and their graduates on things like stress management, resilience, workplace performance, emotional intelligence. And that's where I see my business moving a lot more. It's shifting as I grow older to who I resonate with the most. I love working with students right now because I understand them. I feel like I'm still a part of that generation. I know the struggles that they dealt with. In 5 years' time, I might still understand it, but if they feel that I'm too old and disconnected, they won't resonate with my message as much. I'd rather teach my message to someone else who's younger, who can connect with them and help them to pass it on using their own experiences and their own anecdotes. And I move more to the corporate side and I help the people who I connect with now, whether that's in terms of their parenting, which is something I hope to experience one day, or whether it's in terms of them running their own businesses, as I've been trying to do in the last few years. So in terms of my vision, it is a lot to do with scaling up. It's a lot to do with being able to reach more people with the time that I have, whether that's in the form of talks, workshops. A TED Talk is something that's on my agenda in the next few years. I'm developing a coaching program that I hope to scale up big time. It's based on this own it philosophy that I created. It's a 7-fold philosophy that talks about how we own our present situation and take responsibility for where we are right now. We own our reality by realizing that our reality is our own, it's unique to us, it's based on our perceptions and experiences. We own our foundations through knowing our values and beliefs. We own our emotions through cultivating emotional intelligence. We own our mindset through recognizing the tools that we need to develop and the patterns and self-dialogue that we need to create in line with achieving our best version of ourselves. And using these tools, we own our past and we own our future. We own what happened to us and we own who we want to become. And that is the thing that I really, really want to take to the world.
Kam, your energy is incredibly infectious. If you were to close with a piece of advice to the Bina Vision community, anything personal or professional, maybe they're feeling in a rut, maybe they need change, maybe they need some more discipline in their lives, what would that be?
The one thing, I'm not so sure, but find your why, find your way is something that I will always think was the best piece of advice I ever received. When we're aligned with why we want to do what we're doing, all the little steps, all the discipline, all the day-to-day consistency becomes second nature. And what I actually did when I was in Cambridge and when I was in school and I was struggling a bit with my own academics was I had these sheets on my bedroom wall. One said my to-do list, the things I want to be doing every single day, but the other one said why. And on it, I wrote things like freedom to travel and do the things I want to do, freedom to choose the job I want to have. Success. How do I define success? Well, getting good grades isn't fully in my control. But what is in my control is putting in my best effort. If I do that, I feel successful in myself. Health was on that list. Mental well-being, physical health, balancing my life in that way. A few other things I put. Security. I want to provide for my own family one day. And then what I did was realizing these were why I want to do things in the bigger picture. And then I had this to-do list of things I was going to do day in, day out, revising for exams. I linked them up with like a shoelace that I connected and stuck this on my wall with to remind myself that me putting work in today, to give myself the best chance of getting good grades, to give myself the best chance of going to a good university, to give myself the best chance of getting a job that enables me to provide for the family I one day hope to have, or to pursue the job that one day my future self knows that it wants to do. It kept me aligned with that vision and kept me passionate about putting in the work on a day-to-day basis. And I wish it was that simple. I wish it was that simple to say this is all you need to do. The truth is there are so many ups and downs in this journey. And it's okay to experience our downs. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay to have fears. But we need to bolster it with faith in ourselves. And to remember the times when we succeeded in the past. To remember that the journey is not always a straight path. And to remember that it's our own uniqueness and our authenticity that adds value to the world. We don't need to conform to what others are doing. To remember that emotional strength is not about suppressing our emotions. It's about expressing them intelligently. It's about processing what we're going through. And to remember that at the end of the day, everyone's making up as they go. You don't need to know your future right now in this moment, but trust that one day your future self will have an idea that's closer to what they want to do than that you do now. So do your absolute best to give your future self the opportunity to make the doors easier for them to open by putting in the work now. Because the more we sweat in times of peace, the less we bleed in times of war. The more we prepare for things today, the better prepared we'll be for tomorrow. And that is what I wish my younger self knew. It's what I hope to pass on to others as well.
Thank you very much. Very, very inspiring. I wish you all the best and truly tremendous success with what the business is to bring in the next few months.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thanks.